Hello again everybody, it's Mel from Stocksbridge Guitar Tech. I'm here with another guitar lesson for you today, an intermediate lesson, and I'm going to be showing you some simple blues licks, sort of classic blues licks like the ones that I was playing in the introduction. So let's zoom in and let's have a look at two or three of these blues licks. So we'll start with the easiest one. This one's going to start on the 8th fret with the ring finger on the 2nd string, the B string, and we're going to be bending this note up a whole tone. So we're going to be bending from there to there. So you want to support the ring finger with the middle and index fingers. Use all three to bend the string up to that note. Once you've got that bend, we're going to come down to the 5th fret on the high E string with the index finger and play that. It's the same note, A. So you're bending up to the A, and then you're playing the A there on the 1st string. And then from there, we're going to play the same fret, 5th fret, on the 2nd string. So the whole riff is bend, high E string, 2nd string. And what we have to do here is, when we're playing chords, we use the tips of the fingers, but here we're going to use the pad to play this high E string 5th fret, so that we can mute this 2nd string. So we're playing the 1st string but muting the 2nd string. So only that string is sounding. And then we're going to push the wrist forward and roll that finger over onto the 2nd string, and now we're doing the opposite. Now we're playing the 2nd string on the 5th fret but muting the high E. So we have to rock that wrist backwards and forwards to get that to work. So it's again bend up on the 2nd string at the 8th fret, then high E on the 5th fret, and then roll over and play the B string on the 5th fret, which is an E. And that's it. The picking hand is just, I'm going down, down, up. It doesn't really matter. You figure out what's more comfortable for you. You might find it better to go down, down, down. I find it easier to go down, down, up. So practice that until you can play it. Sort of like that, nice and cleanly, so you're not getting these two strings ringing out together. And then just build up your speed using a metronome. Etc. Now, a variation on this is, instead of bending that 2nd string, you can also slide up to that note. and then just play the same thing but sliding rather than bending. This one's a little bit trickier because when you first try to do it, you'll have a tendency to overshoot and go up here instead of stopping there. So and you have to sort of jump from here down to the 5th fret. You can use the pinky if you find that easier. But I use the ring finger again when I'm playing it this way, and that gives you this effect. Again, it's sort of very Chuck Berry-ish, sounds almost the same. Just subtle differences. So that's the first lick, or the first 2 licks. And of course you can combine them into a single lick like I just did there. You play 1 and then 1, or the other way. So practice those. Like I said, you'll probably find the slide is more difficult to master, but it's just practice, that's all it is. So we'll move on to the second one. The second one's very similar, but we're going to play on the G and B strings, and with this one we're going to bend the 7th fret again with the ring finger up to the 9th. So bending this D up to this E, and then playing E again on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So it's the same as this one almost, except we're not stretching to the 3 frets there, we're only having to stretch 2 frets for this one. And you can do the same riff on here. But with this one, we're going to go and then roll onto the high E string. So we're going across 3 strings really. So this time we're rolling this index finger from the 5th string, the 2nd string onto the 1st string. And with this one, I start with a down pick and then I go down, down on the other 2. But then I use an upstroke on the G string on the bend. And then down strokes on the E and B strings. So up, down, down. But the first one I will usually start on a down. Again, this is down to personal preference. You might want to play it with all down strokes, which is fine. I just find it easier to go up, down, down. So similar to this one, except we're going across 3 strings, and a variation of this is instead of going across 3 strings, instead of going to that high E string, we can go to the 8th fret with the pinky. So we're playing 2 notes on the 2nd string, the B string. We're playing this E and this G. We can also do that one on the high E and B strings. It's a bit more difficult because she's stretching more. But it can be done. But it's easier on the inner strings. So that's lick number 2. Lick number 3, we're going to start on the 7th fret again of the 3rd string, the G string. We're going to bend it up again, and then we're going to let that bend down. So, and then we're going to the 5th fret with the index finger on the same string, and then the 7th fret on the 4th string. So we can also go from there onto the 2nd string, 8th fret, and bend up. And that's an octave higher than that. So we can either play or just play the high E 5th fret, rolling that finger again. But it sounds better with that bend. You can also, instead of picking all of these, well, you don't pick that anyway, that bend down, but you can actually, instead of picking this, just use a pull off. So you're only picking the string once. Okay, and then the last one I'm going to show you is probably the most difficult one. It's sort of like this slide one. But we're only going across 2 frets here, and we're sliding down. So we're going to start on the 10th fret of the B string, the 2nd string, which is this A. We're going to slide down to G, and then roll the index finger across again onto this C. That one's quite difficult because it seems very unnatural, sliding backwards down the neck. And we're only plucking twice, so we're plucking there, sliding that down, and then plucking the high E string at the 8th fret. So start on the 10th of the 2nd string, slide down to the 8th, and then play the 8th on the high E. And you can sort of, from there, once you've got these basic licks down, you can start sort of reinventing them and coming up with your own licks. So you could do something like that instead of going. You could do something like that. Instead of doing, you might go to this note instead. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. Once you've got these basic techniques down, you can start swapping them around. Hendrix used to do this a lot. He'd play one way, so he'd go, but then he'd sort of play the same first note, but then he'd play that part backwards, so he'd play it forwards and then play it backwards, which can sound very, very impressive at speed. Just stick one or two of those in your solo and it can sound really impressive, and it just makes it sound a little bit different, a bit more interesting. But practice those, get the basics down so you can play these. Once you can play them at a reasonable speed like that, then you can start experimenting. And these are all just coming from your basic minor pentatonic scale. So of course we're playing in A minor here, but you can use them in any, so you could play D minor. Or C minor. So once you've got them down, you can move them around, play them in any key, and that's when you can start experimenting and doing different things with them, like playing them backwards. So go away, practice those, have fun with them. They do take a bit of practice at first, especially if you're new to bending strings. Just practice the bend on its own at first until you can bend that note and get that note. You can also do half bends, so bend from there to there. And if you're playing them fast, it doesn't sound too bad. But if you can, you want to be bending a whole tone. So there you are, some basic simple blues licks for you to work on. Okay everyone, so that's the lesson for today. Some nice simple blues licks there that you've probably heard a million times before, but you can still use these. They're still used today by many guitar players. Angus Young, think of people like that. Of course, if you combine some of these bends and some of these licks by, for example, putting a bit of vibrato on the end to give it more expression. This is how you liven your soloing up, is by these little phrases and articulations. So practice the bending, practice the vibrato, and just have fun with it. But that's the lesson for today. As ever, please do subscribe and click the little bell notification if you find my lessons useful. I hope some of you do. But that's all from me today, and I'll see you for the next lesson shortly. Bye for now.